How's it going, everyone? It is Nick at Night, the weekly comic book review show. Non-spoilery talk about the books we picked up this past week. We got a decent stack of them right here. Let's get into it. All right, guys, welcome back. So we're going to talk about the books we picked up this past week. I'm going to introduce a new little thing to the show here. I'm going to put a little graphic up right now. It's actually going to be a little bar of kind of like how I'm enjoying the book right now. I've used CGC kind of lingo from poor to over to gem mint. And when I finish a book, I'm going to put the cover on that little timeline there. And that'll give you kind of a visual representation of how the book kind of made me feel. And it might have a little bit about the maybe the series or the run that it's part of too. So it's not necessarily the single issue, but it might be as well. All right, so with that bar up, we're going to jump into the big two. We're going to start off with Marvel. We're going to go into Thor, issue number 20. So this is Donny Cates, Nick Klein on the art. I actually like Nick Klein a lot and his art style in this book in particular. We get kind of reintroduced to his art style pretty early on with a giant, just great little splash page. Over at Nevedalir, we have Thor. He's hanging out with the dwarves. He's trying to figure out what's going on with Mjolnir. Mjolnir's taken off. It's kind of wreaking havoc all over the 10 realms right now. And so Loki's been kind of covering for Asgard in the meantime. But Thor's got the help of Odin. They're kind of tracking down, trying to find where Mjolnir is. And of course, in this issue, we get introduced to the God of Hammers in here. And I'm not going to kind of give you more than that right there. But Thor's in for it. He's in for it right now, and God of Hammers is revealed inside of this book, so I guess it's a first appearance, and maybe even a first cover appearance because of all the lightning and stuff. It's like a hand that's coming down right now. And this issue, I feel like 19 really kind of set up the hook way more than in this issue. I was a little bit disappointed in the reveal. Maybe just the aesthetics. I don't know. It's kind of interesting. I like the overall story. I think they just need to keep going. They've been kind of dragging for a long time now about, the Mjolnir's getting heavy, doesn't know what it means. He's getting the help with Odin. They have some family issues, like always. And, so now we have Thor kind of coming face to face with this God of Hammers. And so we're going to have to just kind of see what happens after that. One explanation for why Mjolnir might be getting heavy, might be kind of going on a rampage right now. The enchantment on it, the worthy enchantment's kind of wearing off. Donald Blake's prison was kind of like crumbling down. He was able to escape. So it kind of feels like everything that Odin has set up with the magic that he's introduced is kind of falling apart. So I'm wondering if there's like an underlying story about how Odin's kind of fading away, kind of, maybe perhaps dying. So I'm wondering if that's ever going to come up in here. The seeds have been planted for that kind of a story. Let me know if you guys have been picking that up as well here. But God of Hammers Part 2, it's okay. I feel like 19 was better, but this issue was pretty decent. And we got a cool little reveal at the end. So there you go. Thor number 20. Going over to Duggan and Pepe the Rez over on XMen. This is issue number 6. And this is our Captain Krakoa character up here. So if you've been digging Captain Krakoa or wondering what it's all about, we get a very brief little introduction to the character. We don't know its origin. We know who it is. So you do get to figure all that stuff out here. So there is that. We also do get a little cool battle over on one of the moons off of Mars. We have one of our original villains that was teased back in like issue 1, our Elon Musk villain over there. He's really upset that the mutants were able to go to Mars and terraform it and try to basically create Krakoa. And so we have our guy over here finally getting to one of the moons and claiming it. We also get a surprise. This guy is actually quite capable. And if you read the issue, you know what I'm going to be saying there. We don't really know how he's able to do this just yet, but he's very, very resourceful. And so I can't wait for that to kind of blossom some more, to kind of get some more understanding of what's going on there. Like I said, we do get a cool reveal of who Captain Krakoa is in this one. It's a little bit underwhelming, but it is interesting that it's this person. And then we get a couple more continuations of some threads that they set up in previous issues and some confusing moments here towards the very, very end. So I'm gonna let you guys read it. I know it's a little bit vague, but it is intriguing. This is probably one of my favorite issues of X-Men that has come out yet, besides maybe issue 1. So X-Men issue number 6, pretty solid. Definitely helps bump up the overall run, but it took 6 issues just to do that. All right, we're going to jump over into Inferno, issue number 4 from Hickman. This is the conclusion of this run right here. You know, Verno and I talked about this. He's got some other videos breaking it down as well, so check him out over at the Cerebros. I'm getting into X-Men. There's certainly a lot of things in here that I just didn't understand. I read Hoxpox. I didn't read any of the other X books or the main X-Men run. I just wasn't into it at the time, and I really jumped in late to the party and got caught up quickly, and then jumped into an Inferno and been reading it ever since it came out. This issue's got a lot of stuff going on in it, as you would expect. It's got our Destiny, it's got our Mystique, and it's got our Moira action in here. Moira is kind of in a compromising position, kind of how she was in one of her X lives. And so I thought that was really interesting. The three of them together is really tense on the page. And so we do get a little conclusion of that area right there. We get an awesome battle between Nimrod and Magneto and Professor X. And we get a little bit of a setup right here. I feel like a lot of threads were brought up throughout this whole run, and really nothing was resolved. So there's a ton of just kind of open issues and people still around for future writers to pick up and keep going forward. I would say it's a must read if you're looking for something to completely kind of close the loop on all the threads that they've put out there and bring closure to the whole overall story. This ain't it. It's not going to do that. It's like everything kind of was going forward at full speed. We get to the very end, we're just like, okay, we're going to be getting there, and then it just stops. And it's like, okay, I don't know. I'm hoping that they have a great plan after this, and they're going to explain what the hell's going on, because they got a lot of explaining to do in this issue here. Again, the art is spectacular. I absolutely love it. And despite its flaws, it's actually still a really good really good read. Now, what I would really hope is they put a Hoxpox plus X-Men plus Inferno like hardcover together. I would love that. I'd eat that up. So I would definitely be picking that up right there. But again, I wish it just gave us more closure, because it doesn't feel like a complete story. It feels like so much buildup and then it just stops. And so, they have to leave a lot of room for other people to come in and take over. But I think there might be too much room left over. Too many stories, too many threads still open. And so I would have really loved to see kind of a Hickman conclusion to this whole thing, because there's a lot going on. This sets up a lot, but I actually like this issue. And so I'm excited to see where the X-Men go from here. All right, that was it for our Marvel books. We're going to hop over to DC, starting in DC Horror with Soul Plumber. This is issue number 4. And I got to admit, I've been hanging on with Soul Plumber this whole time. I think the concept was interesting. It's one of those books it's just very, very gritty. There's lots of like cursing, there's lots of nudity, and there's lots of just grotesque people in the book. The art really complements all that stuff. The overall story was enough to kind of keep me interested, and the art was enough to keep me interested. But I feel like, we're 4 issues in now. It's a 6-issue run. Last year, 2021 Nick might keep going with a book like that. But I need to start being a little bit more picky about the books that I pick up, because these things stack up, man. These things stack up, and before you know it, you have 6 issues of a run that was like mild the whole time, and it didn't really blow you away. So you kind of have to make hard choices. This might be a book that I'm actually going to cut just because of that. And if you're digging it, I really hope you are. Please keep going and let me know if the story picks up and how it ends over here. But essentially, we run into kind of like a cult leader right here. They're trying to get the help of this person. They have their own makeshift soul plumber wand, if you will. And so this cult person's kind of like the old adage, don't meet your heroes kind of a thing. And so we get a big situation like that where they have to kind of go up against this cult right here. And it's interesting. There's some betrayal over on the church side. We have like a new leadership in the church. He's treating his underlings bad. We get some revenge over here. The overall story is very kind of hard to articulate. It's hard to describe. And so I feel like that's another reason why I'm just not digging this book. It's very dialogue heavy. For instance, I'm on a flash page here. It's very dialogue heavy, and a lot of the dialogue is just kind of nonsense. And I know it's because of the types of characters that are saying it. And it's, but it's nothing really super compelling, I don't think. But, I've been digging it overall. Maybe I'm just not in the right mood to read this book right now. Let me know if you guys are digging it. And, check out Soul Plumber. You should give it a shot. Maybe it's right up your alley. All right, a book I've been really looking forward to lately is Dan Waters' The Order of the New World, Arkham City, from Danny and Dave Stewart. And I've been absolutely loving the art in this one. Usually, Dan Waters kind of scares me. I read Coffin Bound. It was a little bit hard to get through, but I liked everything about it. It was just something about it. I had to reread several pages. I would get kind of lost. I didn't quite know who they were talking about. Some books are like that. Some books are buttery smooth, and then some take a little bit more to dissect little bit more time to dissect and kind of figure out what's going on. And I remember Homesick Pilots being that way too. And I had to drop those books. I had to drop Homesick Pilots. I finished up Coffin Bound, but I was a little bit anxious getting to this book, but I'm like, no, he's an amazing writer and I love the art team. So I got to check it out. And it's a Gotham book. Like, how crazy could it possibly get? And it does get crazy in here. Absolutely love it. The basic premise is after A Day, after the Joker supposedly gassed Arkham City, killed most of the people, killed most of the doctors, one was left alive, and killed most of the patients. There's some really obscure patients, some ex-villains in this book, which I absolutely love because I barely know any of them. And they're featured in this book, which is really great. Like Dr. Phosphorus, I believe it is, the Ten-Eyed Man, Solomon Grundy, and the list goes on, right? Pigman, things like that. So it's like it's focusing on all these weird villains in Gotham that I really don't know much about, and I absolutely love it. And this doctor's kind of teaming up with the villains to kind of solve this big mystery of why Gotham might be cursed in a way. And so we get a little bit of lore, a little bit of history, and this particular issue is really interesting. It has more of a Dr. Phosphorus run inside of it, so we get a little bit more information about that particular person and what's going on there, and maybe the effects of that person being around other people. And I really, really enjoyed that a lot. So this book has been really fun. I'm digging it. 4 of 6. We only got 2 issues left. So check out Arkham City, Order of the World. All right, we're going to go over to the main tentpole title. We got Batman 119, Joshua Williamson, Molina on the art. There's a bunch of different artists on this book, which is one of its faults here. Now, we just had a huge run from Tynion. Like it or hate it, it happened, and there's a lot going on in that book. So we were getting used to a certain pace in storytelling. And this book is kind of like you slam on the brakes. I feel like you just slam it on the brakes, and then the art's kind of deceives you every once in a while. I think the first issue, 118, was beautiful. I think the story was okay. It kind of got us reoriented to this style of Batman. Doesn't have any money. He's kind of going around. He's doing things the old school way. He's traveling overseas. Batman Inc. is causing some troubles. Who's funding them? Bruce Wayne can't fund Batman Inc. And Batman Inc. is like an overseas version of Batman. There's many different ones. They kind of collaborate and team up and take on threats overseas. And they kind of report back to Batman. Somebody's funding them. We learn who that somebody is in the first issue, and we get some more of that action in here, more conversations with that person. I'll save the spoiler there for you. This one is against Abyss. Abyss has presumably been murdered, but can you kill somebody like the Abyss? So we learned a little bit about that. And of course, we're 2 issues into this new run, and Batman is put into a pretty bad situation at the end of this book, which didn't really like, but it does show the gravity of the situation, which I thought was interesting. The back half of this book, the art-wise and the battle pages over here, are really, really nice. I do enjoy those a lot. Those are pretty cool. And Batman, he's all about being in the dark. You know what I mean? He's like, I can do anything in dark. And then, of course, he gets his butt kicked. So I thought that was pretty intriguing. The very, very last page of this book completely switches up art style. It looks like Adam West. Just completely throws me off. And I don't know. I don't like the art change. Stick to one person, please. We're 2 issues in. It's a tentpole title. We're only 2 issues into this run right now. You can't be changing up the art style that frequently, and because you're just going to throw off readers like myself. But then again, are you going to stop getting Batman because they switch artists every once in a while? No, and they probably know that, so that's why they're doing it. But yeah, Batman 119, I thought it was pretty decent. I'm still trying to figure out the pacing and the style of this writing, and what the overall story is going to be, and is it compelling yet? It's getting a little bit more compelling because we have the Abyss in here. So yeah, we'll kind of see what happens there. That's it for the big 2. We're going to go over to indies. Man, where are we going to start? We're going to start with AWA Upshot. We got a couple books from them. Not All Robots. Mark Russell, Mike Diodato Jr., and this is issue number 5. This is the conclusion of this one. There will be a second part if the ending of the story has anything to say about it. And I enjoyed this issue a lot. I loved 1 and 2. 3 and 4 were kind of like, okay, especially 4, in my opinion. And then 5, I think, really picked it up. So basically, we have the aftermath of the big battle. We had our robots finally rising up. We had our humans finally rising up. We had our clash in issue number 4, which was great. There were some consequences. Some humans were exiled from the dome that they live inside right now. And so it's all about living outside the dome at this point, which we really haven't touched on yet. We learn about all the different threats out there and different people kind of volunteering themselves to go out there because they can't live in this society anymore. There's a lot of cool dialogue between the humans and the robots, and even some of the humans that live outside who kind of hate the humans inside. They think they got this cushy life, but meanwhile they're inside just kind of like bubbling in the pot, you know? And so, the grass isn't always greener, I suppose. But this book was actually great. I like the fact that they're out of the house. They're out of the dome. They're not dealing with the same problems they had from issue 1, 2, 3, and 4. And they have a lot of other issues on the road going towards the Atlanta Dome. And so I thought that was great. And then the end of the book definitely teases a second chapter soon. So I'll definitely be picking it up. Not All Robots. I think it ended great. I think it the third act was a little bit weak, in my opinion, especially when issue 1, 2, and part of 3 really built it up in a great way. I think issue 4 didn't quite stick the landing, but then the conclusion of the run helped out a whole lot. So digging Not All Robots, I'd recommend you pick that up. AWA Upshot, Mark Russell, and Mike Deodato Jr. Another AWA title, we have The Fourth Man. This is from McComsey and Mike Deodato Jr. again. So if you like the art style of Not All Robots, it's the exact same art style in this book. And whenever he draws, I always like to kind of figure out who people look like in their characters. And one looks like Sonny from the Godfather, and the other one looks like Paul Giamatti Jr. So there you go. There's your two celebrities. So when you read the book, it's definitely what those characters are modeled after in here. This is a really interesting story. So my idea of the story, or my perception, is we have like rivalry car dealerships. We have one guy kind of seeing this other guy signing all these contracts, bringing all these different overseas people in, bringing all these sports bikes in. He's like, what the hell am I going to do? And he kind of hires a hitman to take care of these guys. Now, everybody's kind of like mobsters in this story, and the hitman bites off a little bit more than he can chew here. And there's some cool stuff that happens in this book here. So if you really like Mike Deodato Jr.'s art style, and you're into like a wacky mobster, hitman, car dealership kind of a book, kind of like a detective crime book, this one so far has been pretty solid. It's only 4 issues. The first issue is solid. I would recommend picking it up if you can. And this B variant is pretty awesome too. I like that, pancakes and stuff. So it's pretty awesome. I'd recommend picking up Fourth Man, AWA Upshot. Check it out. All right, we have 3 more books to go over. We're going to go into Image Comics and finish out the reviews. We're going to go over to Magic Order issue number 2, Mark Miller and Stuart Timonen, I believe his last name is. I'm going to butcher names. We all butcher names. That's the beauty of all this thing. Somebody please correct me down below. Issue number 3, got the black and white cover, like I said in my poll video, because a lot of volume 1 books that I have are in this style. And so I'm just keeping the tradition alive. Got to keep the tradition alive. If you're not reading Magic Order, you really have to. This book here is more like how I describe it, which is like an adult Harry Potter. We have a bunch of humans, or a bunch of adults with wands, just ripping people apart, doing all this crazy magic in here. And we have some extremely creative usages of magic. And there's a gigantic battle in here with many different types of magic people in here. And so it really showcases the diversity. And it's not just, throwing a wand and like some kind of spark comes out and hits the guy and he flies against the corner. It's like, no. There's other really, really violent and deadly and creative ways that they use magic in this book. We do get a little bit of lore in this book as well, about kind of how the Magic Order started. So the first half of this book is more about that. The second half is, as a result of the history lesson we got, we kind of know the direction that we're going to go now. And it's kind of like this big battle between these rival factions, against the rival against Magic Order. And so it's really, really interesting in here. And there's really cool other characters that are magic oriented that might not just have wands, but they're called Bewitchers in this one. I don't think we've seen Bewitchers before, but I don't remember everything about Volume 1. And the Bewitcher comes into this one right here, and it's really, really interesting. The art style is great. Absolutely love it. And I can't say enough about Magic Order. If you're not reading it, man, you got to pick it up. Try it out. And it's one of the best books out there, I think, especially on the indie front. All right, we're going over to Nocterra Blacktop Bill Special. I think I got that variant cover right here. This is the C variant. I just love that one because every time you see the character, the only white you see is on his mouth. It's awesome. The Blacktop Bill really kind of holds true here. This is his origin story. This is his Here's Negan. This is a really cool book about, he's kind of like John Wick. He's the guy you send out to kill the boogeyman. He's not the boogeyman. He's the guy you send to kill the boogeyman. And this is a story about his origin, how he got to be, his motives. Maybe not his origin and how he got to be, but more like how he was before the big PM, they call it, the big blackout. And so we can see, dude's pretty ruthless, man. And Scott Snyder paints a pretty gruesome picture of who this guy was prior to this. So I thought that was pretty interesting. I knew it was going to be nuts. I just didn't know how crazy it was going to be. He doesn't really go into like an origin about what made him this way. He just kind of says he's a psychopath. He's an absolute psychopath. And these are the things that he used to do back then. And you do not want to get on his radar, because if you're on his radar, he takes it personally and he like takes passion in what he's about to do. And so that just scares the shit out of you as soon as you realize what that might mean after seeing what he does to the people that he considers just the job. You know, it's like, well, damn, what is he going to do to people that he's like passionate about finding? And so it really makes you kind of just scared the crap. It makes you really scared about this guy. And so I really did appreciate that. So it did everything I was hoping it was going to do. I love Nocterra. It's just not coming out as quickly as we want it to. And this was a cool little placeholder to kind of get us ramped up and understand how deadly this guy really is. So digging Nocterra Blacktop Bill Special. Yeah, I would check it out if you'd like Nocterra. All right, the last book we're getting into from Image Comics is Monkey Meat #1 by Junie Baz. I probably butchered the name. I apologize, but this is the new #1 coming out from Image. Taking a chance on a thrilling anthology, it says on the cover here. The art style is interesting. It has a mixture of like a Fallout, like the cartoon style of Fallout, you know, like the advertisements that we might see. It has like the coloring of some kind of like firepower perhaps. And it's just got some like an absurdity in here too. The paneling is very different. There's lots of full page spreads. There's lots of white here and there around the panels and whatnot. The lettering is very interesting as well. There's a lot of interesting things going on in here. The basic premise is this real corrupt company kind of comes in to this area, this undeveloped area, wipes out all the natives, and starts like polluting the area and everything. And the pollution from that kind of like evolves different things around here. And it's just focusing on the company and kind of like their bouncer that they hire to help clear out the natives. And he's kind of evolving and understanding how corrupt this company actually is, and then kind of takes matters into his own hands. And so it was pretty interesting. We'll see how others kind of feel about this book. I'm interested to know if you picked up this book. Let me know down below in the comments how you felt about it. I feel like the art was interesting. Maybe I just wasn't in the right mood to read the book at the time. There's like false advertisements in here too, which I think is useful and probably better than an advertisement for another book or an event coming up later. It's so annoying when you're flipping through Marvel books, especially, and you get like in DC, and you get maybe 2 or 3 pages just back to back in the center of the book. And it's like ads for the next one. And the next one, I'm like, oh God, I'm going to get those. Don't forget about it. I'd rather they do advertisements and things that are baked into the story. But I don't know how necessary it is. It's just something I noticed while flipping through here. It certainly has ads towards the back about other books coming out on the Image line, like Compass and New Masters and things like that. So overall, it was all right. It was all right overall. Didn't blow me away or anything like that. Let me know what you guys thought about Monkey Meat down below in the comments. So guys, that's what I read this week, and that's what I thought about it too. You'll see my little line down below grading all the different books on there. Let me know if you like this little graphic down there. I might modify it or change the aesthetic of it later, but you get an idea of how I'm feeling about the different books and everything like that. Always go down below in the comments and let me know what you guys thought of the books that you read this week. What were your favorite picks? And can you clarify anything from these books that I may have had questions for? As always, like, subscribe, share, hit that bell notification for future videos. Stay safe out there, and I'll see you in the comments.